In the dominion mandate in Eden, God commanded Adam to be fruitful, to multiply, to fill the earth, to subdue the earth. He put Adam to work in the garden. He put him to guard the garden, to protect the garden, to serve in the garden. These are real things that God commanded of Adam. When God created Adam, he put him to work. What's happened to masculinity in the 21st century? We now have these boys, I'm going to use that language, these boys running around, pleasure seeking, seeking after the flesh, gratification, with no real sense of responsibility, self-control, or masculinity. We have men day in and day out who are watching pornography. We have men day in and day out who want nothing more but to get home, to crack open a cold beer and sit on the couch, tune out their family. We have men that sit and play video games and waste away their lives. We have men that don't know the meaning of hard work, who don't know the meaning of being a good husband, don't know the meaning of being a good father, don't know the meaning of loving God, loving the church, who don't know the meaning of the word work. Now, I'm not saying any of this because I have this area mastered. As a man, I have a long way to go in becoming who I believe God has created and designed me to be. But this video is to call men out for being soft, for abandoning their responsibility and their role, which God defined in the garden when he created man in his image, and he put him to work to protect his bride, to protect the garden, to stamp out the devil, and to expand the Holy of Holies to fill and the entirety of the earth. Now we see that the entire problem of sin that has infected the human race all started because of one thing. Many people point out that it was Eve. Eve sinned. She took the fruit. She took of it. She ate of it. Eve was the one who first sinned, and then Adam sinned, and as a result, then sin. But I want to argue that the first sin wasn't that Eve ate the fruit. The first sin was Adam's passivity. Adam's passivity led to Eve's downfall. He failed his job to protect his bride. He failed his job to stand up to the serpent, to crush its head, and to throw it out of the garden. It was Adam's failure to be a man. It was Adam's passivity that led to the fall of mankind. And if I could pick one word to describe mankind today, specifically males, men, that word would be passive. We are passive. When we see the serpent climbing into our heads, tempting us with lustful thoughts, we passively let those thoughts come in. We entertain them. We go through with sinning. When we as men have an opportunity to love our wives, we often put ourselves first. We slip into passivity. We let our wives lead. Oh, let her go do her thing. It's too much to try to even lead right now. And we slip into passivity. Passive is easy. It's what the world is doing. It's easy. That's why it feels good. It's easy to be passive. It's easy to be passive so that you can have pleasure. It's easy to be passive so that you can do what you want. But the dominion mandate that God gave requires no rest, no sleeping on the job. It requires vigilance, faithfulness, self-control, the fruits of the Spirit, ironically enough. It requires men to take possession of what has been given to them. And here's the beautiful thing. Adam failed, and with it the human race failed, but we have a new Adam. We have a second Adam. His name is Jesus Christ. And when Jesus Christ did what Adam couldn't. He crushed the serpent's head. He protected his bride. He brought restoration for those who would put their faith in him. So if you're a Christian man, you have no excuse, because you are in the one who is building back what was once lost. You are in the one who has restored you to work out your faith with fear and trembling. Brothers and sisters, if you're watching this as a sister, I encourage you, if you have men in your life, encourage them in this area. Support them in this area. And do your part by fulfilling the God-given role that He has given you. Men and women are not equal. That's another problem. We view men and women as being equal. They're not. Men and women both have the same value, the same worth, the same dignity. Both are equally the image of God. But the Bible teaches that man is in the image of God and woman is in the image of man, which ultimately is in the image of God. So there is a hierarchy there. And as such, women have a God-given role that is just as high a calling, just as beautiful, but oftentimes they usurp the role that men are in. And hold on, women, I'm not blaming you for this, because ultimately that usurping of the role of men by becoming leaders, by becoming that, is because men have stepped into passivity. We need to solve this. Why are there women fighting in our armed forces, going overseas? It's because we have a bunch of stupidly passive men that have not put their foot down and said, this is not okay, we protect you. Why are there women serving in churches as elders, as priests, as bishops? It's because men have been passive and have not put their foot down and said, no, we want to protect you. And so we're going to say no to you in a role that is not God-given to you. And we are going to take responsibility, step up, and perform our roles that God has given us well. Passivity is killing men. Passivity is killing masculinity. So brothers, God commanded Adam to be fruitful, to multiply, to fill the earth, to subdue the earth, to protect the garden, to guard the garden, to work in the garden. And in Jesus Christ, we have a mandate too. We have a mandate to love God, to love our neighbors, to love our wives, to love our children, to work hard, to serve and do all things to the glory of God. And these are things that we must do. We compartmentalize the Christian faith as though we have our God time over here, our work time over here, our family time over here. We need to see as our God time all-encompassing those. It should be spilling over into everything. And God has given us a mandate. And that mandate, through the grace of God, by faith that He works into us, should spill into all areas of our life. Remember, it's by grace through faith that we have been saved. But right after that, Paul says that we were created in Christ Jesus for good works, that God prepared beforehand that we might walk in them. God has given us work to do, that we might walk in it. We need to say no to passivity. It is a lie of the devil to feminize and snuff out what it means to be a man. Step up into your God-given role and experience the freedom in Christ to be a man, to be a masculine man, and watch as your wife respects and loves you, as your children look up and admire you, and as those around you respect the integrity and love that you have for God. Don't do it for yourself. Don't do it because you think you're trying to be a better person in the world. Do it because God has commanded you to. And by being faithful to God's commands, you are honoring the relationship that He has provided for you in Christ Jesus. This is not a video to shame you or to condemn you, for I am just a sinner saved by grace. What this video is to encourage you in your pursuit of Christ. and to encourage you to run the race well.